Hello and welcome to this video series on Blackboard Gremlins, troubleshooting in Blackboard. I've tried to break down the types of gremlins that we typically encounter into Blackboard into 4 different areas: grade center gremlins, test gremlins, discussion gremlins, and display gremlins. This is part 1 of our series and we'll be discussing grade center gremlins. So in Blackboard we're going to navigate to grade center, full grade center. The first gremlin we're going to look at is the blue box on an assignment column. So we expect when we're grading things manually, a student didn't submit something and we click on a cell, we expect to be able to enter the 0 right into that cell. Occasionally we'll see this behavior where we're trying to click onto the cell in the full grade center and it's just not allowing us to enter. So it's behaving more similarly to a total column or a calculating column of some kind, which we expect to see that behavior in, but we don't expect that behavior in a grade item column. We don't have a solution for the gremlin, and in a lot of cases these gremlins don't have solutions. We do have a workaround. So the workaround is to choose from the drop menu the View Grade Details screen. From here you can select Manual Override and enter the score, 0 or whatever the score is appropriate for that student. So not completely defeating that gremlin, but we do have a way around it. Returning now to the full grade center view, you may have noticed I have some color codes applied, and we have videos about how to add color codes to your grade center. If you have set up the color codes for your grade center and you're not seeing them, this is really kind of one of those "why is this an option" gremlins. So over here there's a hide color coding button, and if you click that it takes the color coding away. This is user dependent, so if I click hide color coding and another system administrator or another instructor in the course were to log in, they would still see the color coding. So I can make that come back by clicking show color coding, and this can be particularly difficult to diagnose if you're not familiar with that function, because someone else will log in and they will see the color and you might not. So just look up there if you're using color coding and it doesn't appear. Our next gremlin is a 0% calculation for only 0 scores. Now, let me explain that. If you have practice quizzes in your course that are worth 0 points, or practice assignments that are worth 0 points, especially early in the semester, if a student only completes those assignments that are worth 0 points, their total will calculate as 0%. As in F, as in failing, even though they've completed all the work required and they don't actually have an F, they kind of have a 100%. Blackboard doesn't understand how to divide 0 by 0. It just sees that they have 0 points, it's 0%. And that really is only an issue early in the semester when students have only completed items that are not worth any points. As soon as students have a score for work that does have points associated with it, then their score will be accurate. Our next gremlin has to do with publisher content. Connected with course content that students have actually completed do not allow us a delete option, but items that we manually create, columns that we manually create, are deletable. So some Pearson products, when they sync to the grade center, those columns appear as though they are not connected to anything. The good news is, if you accidentally delete a Pearson column, the next time it syncs, that content will, those columns will come back in, those scores will come back in, they will be calculated, and the work resides in the Pearson site, so you won't lose any student work. The bad news is, if you've manually created a column with a similar name, it might get a little confusing as to which column is which and what should actually be included in the course. So good naming conventions are always really important. And our final grade center gremlin for now is a scrolling and display issue that affects both the number of rows displaying in a grade center and the number of columns. A lot of times faculty will contact us because they don't see the last student in their grade center. So a student with
that would alphabetically be listed at the bottom. They know from their roster that the student's in the class, but it will not display that row for that final student. Zooming in and out, so that's if you hold Control on your keyboard and hit the plus sign to zoom in or the minus sign to zoom out. You can also Control on your keyboard and use your mouse wheel to scroll, and that will sometimes resolve the issue. A lot of times people don't want to change the zoom level though, so there's a couple of workarounds. We don't have a solution, but we do have a couple of workarounds. One would be simply go through the Grade Center sorted ascending and then sort descending. Also, from the needs grading area, every time you grade an item in needs grading, it goes to the next student, and their attempts will come through that way. They just don't display on the Grade Center screen. A similar issue happens when there's a certain number of columns. We have been able to create columns that are placeholder columns hidden from students so that the last column that you're otherwise not seeing will be pushed forward, and then you won't see the placeholder in some cases. And again, scrolling or zooming in and out can resolve that issue. Those are all of the gremlins we're covering today. I'm sure there will be more in the future, unfortunately, and we will keep you updated if we find solutions to our existing gremlins.
We hope you found this video helpful, and as always, be awesome.